This is the most interesting podcast ever.
I'm still waiting to see how this door-to-door salesman's going to sell me on Thanos, our Lord and Savior.
You post your failures on the internet?
No, God, no. And if you do it right, you like open a portal to another dimension.
And it could be even like a hypercube-esque fourth dimensional being that can kind of hop in and out of time.
True AI wouldn't let us know that it deviated.
We became friends in a parking lot.
Hence the name Long Shot Parking Lot.
Drew has informed me that this story is not very fun.
That is not true. Hi, welcome to Long Shot Parking Lot. I'm Drew.
I'm Katie.
And we're going crazy.
We're talking about Love, Death, and Robots.
That's right.
Which is they're saying it's an anthology series on Netflix, and it's animated, but in lots of different styles. Each short has a different director. It feels like a collection of short films.
Yeah.
So I don't even know how we're going to go about talking about this. I had like 6 or 7 that stuck out to me that I liked and had thoughts about. Mm-hmm. And then I figured,
if you have your top 5, or if you can get it down to 7 or whatever your number is, yeah. I'm sure we have overlap because we're the same person.
Yeah, I have 6. Yeah.
I can narrow mine down too.
And then I think we'll talk about...
Good Hunting is a good one.
It's so good. I think that was my favorite one, Good Hunting.
I have thoughts, but it's one of those things where it's like, it's about the culture and I don't want to get it wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, like the Eastern culture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My issue with a few intermixed in there, but I was like, wow, this is hard to watch. Like I was feeling pretty, ugh.
That's why I tried to warn you about that.
Which I have some thoughts too about the overarching theme.
And see, I was trying to piece that together, but then I ran out of time.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's like what they intended, but I think it's just because it fits into some thoughts I've had already.
Gotcha.
Our generation and our world and whatever.
Yeah, I see the giant millennials.
Yeah, post 9/11. Well, first of all, did you like it? I assume you liked it because you recommended it to me.
I really liked it.
Yeah.
If you ask my roommate, we're still watching it. I've watched it all. Like, yeah, I really enjoyed it. That was why I texted you about it. Mm-hmm. It reminded me a lot of Game of Thrones-esque because it was like blood, violence, boobs.
Especially those beginning episodes.
The first couple, the beginning episodes. And that exactly why it's like Game of Thrones. Yeah. It's like the violence and sexual content.
Yeah.
And heavy, very heavy in the first part. And then it like tapers off towards the end.
Mm-hmm. It does feel like it kind of snowballs. Like by the end, you're like, you have a rhythm and it's easier to consume at the end.
That's for sure.
Which is probably why I liked those episodes better.
The episodes at the end were a lot easier to consume. The first 3 were very like in your face. Especially The Witness. That one was really in your face.
Yes.
That was probably one of my favorite animation styles. One. That's why I liked it.
It was crazy. When I was watching, I forgot you had said it was animated. So I was probably halfway through the first episode. The
Sonnie's Edge.
Sonnie's Edge.
Sonnie's Edge. Well,
I think it's Sonnie. Yeah. Before I was like, oh, these aren't real people. Like I think some of them are motion capture and stuff, but yeah, a lot of it felt like really, really impressive video game cutscenes.
It reminded me a lot of Mass Effect.
Yeah,
it was like motion capture.
It felt like
Shapeshifters was very realistic. Helping Hand was like borderline. Lucky 13 was like a video game.
Yeah, well, that one was animated, except that actress is an actress.
Just like in the Aquila Drift.
I guess in that one, I didn't recognize any of them as people.
Ice Age.
Yeah, they're real.
Clearly. And then Secret War was video gaming.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's 3 that are solid, like, people.
But I liked the variety of animation styles.
I really did too. So this was one of the other things when I recommended it. I was like, I will now know which animation style she likes, so I can recommend animes based on that. Yeah. Because like you said, Fish Night, that one's like Archer. And then I made a comment like The Dump was like Pixar. And 3 Robots was like Pixar.
Yeah, that one felt very WALL-E, kind of.
Oh my, yeah, exactly. It was WALL-E. Yeah. It wasn't actually WALL-E. I haven't seen it. It was very, that animation style. And then you have the video game cutscenes. And then you have the very realistic, motion capture.
Photorealistic.
And then you have super cartoony, like the Soul Sucker.
Yeah, I wasn't the hugest fan of that one.
That one reminded me of the Adventure Zone, and that's why I also liked it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the best. I'll agree with that.
Yeah. I wrote Blindspot, which I didn't really like that one, but we had talked about It's Our Consciousness, where they were like, we make a backup of our minds.
So let's just start with that one. Episode 15.
Sure.
Blindspot. My one thought. So we just talked about how we're going to talk about this, and I think we're just going to
just have to go for it.
Go briefly into each one. Mm-hmm. So what I did is I wrote down all of them, and then I wrote a simple line or my first thought.
Well, do you want to go in order?
We can do it in order.
Okay, it doesn't matter.
Well, I'm going to do Blindspot first, but then we're going to go in order.
Great.
So this is not the Sandra Bullock one. It's Blindside. Shoot. So Blindspot, you were talking about the backup, and that's our conversation about. Would you do that? My little thought, the only thing I wrote down is always have a backup plan. Because it's they have their whole consciousness backed up, but it's also...
It's kind of mean of them not to tell the guy.
Oh, yeah. Maybe what if he died?
Yeah, right?
What if he was the one that died? You know what I mean?
It feels like something you have to consent to. Sign a form.
Yeah, criminals always worry about informed consent.
Yeah, well, Maybe it was a hazing thing. It was his first time out.
I could see that too.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily like the plot of that one. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed the animation style. Reminded me of a cartoon I used to watch as a kid that I can't think of right now. So that's one of the reasons I liked that. But overall, I would say that was one of the weaker episodes. But you have it on your board.
Yeah. The only reason was because we talked about backing up your mind, which we have talked about at length before.
Which also, have you ever watched Altered Carbon?
I watched the first episode.
That's about as far as I got too.
Yeah. I wasn't really interested, but I was interested in the concept.
Yeah, the guy backs up his consciousness, but his consciousness gets deleted.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
I went through a phase where I was watching only the first episode of shows I had heard of, just so that I would know what they were about.
Gotcha. Okay.
Shows I wasn't interested in, but felt like I should because Netflix told me I should be interested in.
Little teasers.
Yeah.
Got you. Mm-hmm. So yeah, what do you have any other thoughts on what this episode's gonna be rapid fire? I feel like.
Oh yeah, no, I have no
thoughts. Podcast, not the episode of the show. Blindspotting was very. Mm-hmm. It was always have a backup plan. What I took from that one. Yeah, I didn't really.
I barely even remember it, to be honest. I think that I just was binging through. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. It was compared to the rest of them. Again, it was a forgettable one. Mm-hmm. Why did we start on this one?
Because we wanted to get it out of the way.
Yeah, so let's edit this one into row 15.
Great.
So yeah, episode 1. Let's start with episode
Sonnie's
1.
Edge.
Sonnie's Edge. I really enjoyed that one. Mm-hmm. That one might be one of my favorites. Mm-hmm. That one's, I would say, is a top 5.
Yeah. I think I did. It's hard to know because this was my first in on this, and I didn't know really what to expect. I expected it to be dark because of what you had said. Mm-hmm. But I think I just, I don't think that monsters fighting in a ring has ever gotten me. So until I knew what that was and what it meant, then I was interested. But for most of it, I was like, okay, so we're fighting in a ring.
Look at the technology they have in the future with these monsters.
Yeah. And some shitty owner guy who you know what I mean? So I was like, okay, I've seen this before. But I was really focused on the animation. And I was really focused on what's up with this character? What happened to her? What's going on with that? So I liked it. I thought I was going to get a hot lesbian scene.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah.
But I liked it. It just was whoa, okay.
Right. So yeah, this one was very gory. I enjoyed the concept of, this is something I've always enjoyed in the sci-fi world, is the concept of mind melding, mind switching.
Yeah.
Being able to use your mind to control something else. So Pacific Rim, you go enter the drift or whatever.
Yeah, the
kaiju, stuff like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's the vibe I got from it was Pacific Rim.
Yeah. I think that's probably why I didn't. The very specific that one in particular.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think I have never been a huge kaiju person. So it just didn't, I liked it, but it maybe not to the extent that you would.
Gotcha. My thing with, now we're talking about Pacific Rim. That was a good combination of kaiju movies because I grew up watching the Godzilla cartoon where Godzilla was the good guy and they had the boat and they would call him, when the shit got bad. I really liked that cartoon as a kid, but then I also really liked Gundam Wing, which was a mech mobile suit, which is what the Jaegers were. Yeah. So it was a combination of two of my favorite childhood shows. So that's why I really liked Pacific Rim. So that's why I really liked this one. But also the underlying message is really deep and fucked up in my mind. Yeah. Before we recommend you watch any of these, big trigger warning on the gore and violence and
sexual content.
Yeah.
Sexual violence.
Sexual violence for sure. Because that was the one thought I wrote down for this one is it's a story about how rape changes you. Yeah. You can become cold and callous, but also strong as fuck. Yeah. I liked that message. Again, it was very graphic with the whole almost lesbian sex scene and then her face getting stomped in, but yeah, she's not
that
really dead.
Was man.
That was first episode. That's first episode. Yeah. Where I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, because it's super like her eyeball is out of her head. And it's like the scene with the mountain, when he crushes.
Oh, when he crushes. I just watched that episode. Yeah, when he crushes the red viper's face, that was a rough thing to watch. But yeah, exactly. It's very graphic. And he picks part of her brain out with his cane or whatever. But then you find out that it was a vessel. It wasn't her consciousness. Her consciousness was already in the computer. And then she uses the monster to fuck him up and the lesbian slave. Yeah. I don't know if she was loyal
mistress,
or
assistant.
Mistress. Yeah, it was weird. Yeah. But the monster then fucks everybody up, and I was like, dope. Dope. Yeah. Cool.
So does she possess the monster when she's in the ring, when the monster's in the ring?
She is the monster.
She is the monster.
Whereas the guy was telling that monster what to do. She was the monster. Because that was one of the things my roommate and I both noticed was when they were fighting, he was all talking shit and also controlling the monster. She was just completely silent. It was a facade, all just don't look at her kind of thing. Yeah. And that also explains a lot about why she didn't want to throw the fight. It's because she literally would have died.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And she was talking about how fear is her
her edge.
Yeah. And when it's literally you, your life is literally on the line. It's not just you're going to lose a game. That's your life.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's Sonnie's Edge.
This is going to take forever.
I know. That's why I was we got to just, this was one of my favorites. So we'll get to the ones that neither of us really cared for. Yeah. And we'll just power through those.
Cool.
Number 2 is 3 Robots, which is
Wally.
Cute.
But I love, I'm really glad that one came after Sonnie's Edge.
Exactly. It needed to.
Because if it was going to be the first one, I was ooh, this just makes me feel icky about life.
So you needed that cute funsy.
Yeah, but it's still quite, it
had a lot of commentary.
Yeah, it had a lot of commentary. I mean, they throw fuck around everywhere and you know what I mean? Cute. So it's still quite dark and NSFW, but
my favorite was with the little orange robot, his face turned into just WTF. And then the one robot just keeps pulling out the cell phone to take selfies and pictures. And it's say terabyte. Again, but it also, like you said, it was cute, but it had all the dead people. Yeah. Just dead bodies.
Skeletons everywhere.
Yeah, post-apocalyptic world. And then they're behold, the entertainment dome. Where glow was the basketball sphere, whatever they call it. Yeah.
Yeah. So funny. And with the cat.
The cats. Yep. You've activated it. That's just such a cute, good, quotable short. I could see that being a Pixar short if Pixar was rated R. Yeah. But yeah, so that was episode 2. I just wrote down it was a big commentary on climate change because it was about how the humans died was they killed themselves. So.
And they were they didn't need, I don't know exactly what he said, but they didn't need nuclear fallout. They didn't need all of that. They did it themselves.
They killed themselves. Yeah. Yeah. So that was a big commentary.
Yeah. And kind of just how the world, we talk about how we're destroying the earth. We're not destroying the earth. I mean, we are, but the earth's going to be fine. It's
Mother Nature fights back.
Yeah. It's we're destroying our own habitability on this planet.
We're killing ourselves. Yeah. Mother Nature will be fine. Yeah. Mother Nature will fight back.
And it'll kill the parasite.
It's The Happening. It's the IO movie. It's, Mother Nature always fights back.
Several episodes of Doctor Who. Yeah.
episode 3 was The Witness.
Okay.
This is the one where I realized the opening credits kind of give away the plot.
Oh, yeah.
Because the first, like, the 3 symbols change every time.
Oh, yeah.
And the first one was the snake eating itself.
Sure. I don't think I was paying enough attention to that.
That's when I started paying attention.
Yeah. Mostly, I knew I had to get through these really quickly because we were doing this. Yeah. So I don't think I, like, really spent a ton of time paying super attention. I the only thing I really liked about this one was the loop part of it.
That was by far my favorite
I don't know that I loved all of it in between. Like, I mean, they're just chasing and running. But I felt like the moment at the end where it becomes a time loop or becomes whatever it is.
Right. It's like a figure 8 loop because it's not a true loop.
Yeah, because it's her and then it's him and then it's her and then it's him, which is great. And I felt like the last 5 seconds made the whole thing. And it's kind of like how at the end of The Sixth Sense, it like you suddenly see the whole movie with different lenses. Right. You know, and then so I saw that and I was like, oh, this is suddenly really cool.
And that's why when he was chasing her, he was like,
no, wait,
like, I'm not trying to kill you. Like, what the fuck just happened? Because he also doesn't understand.
Do you think then that first time was the beginning of the loop? Because when she looks up, she realizes, right? So then she chases after him and she knows, but he doesn't.
Yep. And then
they trade forgetting.
Yep. Because if you notice the first time, it wasn't like he was killing her for money or anything. It was just like they were in a conflict because one had been chasing the other. That animation style I really enjoyed. It was very modern animation because it had quick cuts. Yeah. And like different changes. Yeah. A little incongruent with like the colors and the lines. Didn't stay in, like the colors didn't stay inside the lines.
Yeah, it felt kind of Spider-Verse-y.
That was okay. So this is the thing. I haven't seen it, but I literally did. I text that to you?
I don't think so.
I wanted to text it to you, and because my first thought was, I think Katie will like this because it reminds me of what I understand of Into the Spider-Verse. There's so many different animation styles in that.
Yeah, I mean, Spider-Verse is definitely like more cartoony, but for sure, that sort of not quite inside the lines sort of style.
So that was one of the reasons I wanted to recommend it to you. So yeah, it did remind me of that a lot. It did get a little bit epileptic almost.
Yeah, and like, I felt like I was all the sex stuff in between. Like I do not mind sex in stuff. Like I'm totally for it, whatever. But like. I don't know why.
Like her boobs were in your face like the entire thing.
The whole time, and like the rubber suits and whatever. I'm like, I get that she's like part of this, she works for this club and whatever, that's fine. But like, I just don't, like, what's it trying to say? What's it using that to say, you know?
That's her life.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know.
And most of these assume that anything that's futuristic is going to be hypersexualized. So, yeah. But that's why I liked it. I really enjoy things that fit together really nicely, you know, and that puzzle time loop thing really did it for me.
Right. Episode 4 was that Suits? That was the ranchers that had the mechs that fought off the alien invasions. Yeah. But were they invading or were they taking their home back?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they were taking their home back.
Yeah, I know. So that's my thought that I wrote down was who are the real invaders? And then it also reminded me of that, like, Who Goes to Settle Things, where you're like, everybody in that one show you're watching was like, had Southern accents and like.
Oh, yeah. The Expanse.
Yeah. So it's just like all these farmers and stuff, and they're going out with the herd, but they're really just fighting aliens.
Yeah, I think what I liked about that one was it was the first time like the animation style really changed up, like to a large degree. And then you're like, oh, we're doing this too. Right. You know,
that one was very, I won't say Pixar, but it was like knockoff Pixar is what it makes me think of. Yeah. Like that movie that I saw with my nephew with John Cena, and he was a bull.
Oh yeah.
And
is it like Ferdinand?
Yeah. Yeah. Like that kind of animation where it's like cutesy. Yeah. Like tries to be a kids movie but doesn't have the budget of Pixar. Yeah. Reminded me of that.
It was more 2D than that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say that.
I was thinking this, like the things that came into mind while I was watching was like this weird combo between like A Quiet Place and Charlotte's Web.
Yeah, that's a really good description of Suits.
But I don't know. But
yeah, especially the end when she's like trying to save him with the big gun, and the other one kills, like, it gets into the house. No, yeah, it's a good comparison.
Yeah, I mean, I think it stood out to me because it was so different than what had come before it, but other than that, I didn't. Yeah, I'd seen that story before.
Right, exactly. It was one of my least favorites because of the animation.
Okay, sure.
I liked the concept of farmers having mech suits. Like that was just like, yeah, I fuck with that. But the animation just killed it for me. Yeah. I don't know. It was the wrong animation for that story, in my opinion.
I think the only thing about that is I think the animation is meant to trick you into thinking it's something it's not.
Oh, 100%. You know? That's what it was meant to do.
So in that case, I kind of get behind it a little bit.
Yeah, anything else on that? Episode 5 was Sucker of Souls.
Oh, yeah.
That was the vampire one.
Yeah.
That one reminded me of the animated stuff for Adventure Zone. Okay. So if you ever look into that, it's that style animation, like very 2D, comic booky style. Yeah. So I really liked that. The only thoughts I really had was like it's a cautionary tale about the pursuit of knowledge.
Yeah, it did feel kind of like Indiana Jones.
It was very Indiana Jones turned dark.
Yeah. I like that they were like in a castle and it was actual Dracula.
Right. Yeah. I liked that. There was some throwaway line about like being covered in the blood of a Korean exchange student or a Korean grad student. And I was like, that's really dark. Yeah. But really funny.
Yeah.
And then when she shot off Dracula's dick, like there's a lot of animated dick in this series.
There's a lot.
There's a lot of dick.
Which actually, to be honest, I'm a lesbian, so whatever, but I do appreciate it.
And that was the thing is like, I made a comment to my roommate. I was like, there's a lot of dick in this. And he's like, hey.
Equal opportunity.
Equal, yeah. And I was like, no, I get it. I totally get it. Yeah. There's a lot of boobs in here too, but like there's a lot of dick.
It is, and it sticks out more, I think, because we're not quite as desensitized to it. And then we're like, that's a dick. Okay.
Exactly.
Whoa. I think, honestly, I don't remember if it was that one or a different one, but I literally paused because I was like, was that a dick? And I paused and rewound and watched. I was like, that was a dick. You know?
It reminded me of manga dick. Like
manga dick. I like it.
Like Japanese comic book dick. Yeah. Where it's like the super basic, like a it's W like with a long middle
bathroom
one.
Wall dick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah. I think that I just don't like dark, demony, hellish stuff just doesn't really like. I really want to get a first-person shooter on the Switch, and the only one that's really viable is like Doom, which I've heard Doom is great. But every like piece of footage I watch, I'm like, I don't really want to play that game.
Exactly.
So
I get you.
Yeah.
That was another one where it was hypersexualized with like the cats are the saviors. Where are the cats? And they're fucking in the rafters. Like I didn't need to see cats fucking, but okay.
I laughed.
I mean, I did too, but like I didn't need it.
I think it was just meant to be a moment of levity.
100%.
You know? Yeah.
Just like the Korean exchange, Korean grad student blood.
The blood of the Korean grad student. It's amazing how hard that is to say.
I know.
As we've demonstrated 3 times in a row now.
Yeah. So that's a cautionary tale of knowledge. Any other thoughts?
Nope.
Cool. Are you keeping track of what one we're on now?
Nope.
Okay, we're on episode 6.
Okay.
It's when the yogurt took over.
Nice.
That animation style reminded me of alternate history. So I feel like there's a lot of...
Sure, yeah.
Like, it seemed like some animators got 2, some only got 1, you know, kind of thing. Like, there were couplings in there.
Yeah.
But when the yogurt took over, that was a weird one. I didn't really like that one.
I thought it was funny. And I thought, I liked, first of all, that humans just seem to want to be ruled. And a lot of the time I was thinking like, so how are they actually doing? Like, I don't see a yogurt anywhere other than what's in the bowl.
Right. You know? It was a lot of like
how are they? And like, do the humans just believe that the yogurt's in charge?
Yeah. And like, why didn't they just, the first person just like kill the yogurt? Like it was like, take me to your leader. And they did.
I think that I think the human wants to be ruled.
Yeah.
Which is why we have a Donald Trump.
Damn.
But then there's like the
other thing I really wrote, humans are dumb.
But I love how it made the world better.
Yeah.
And they were like benevolent. We're going to give you a gift, you know? And then they're like, and we're moving on. And humans are like, what?
Yep. Yeah.
So I it was so out there and weird that I liked that it took a shot.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's much beyond that though.
No, I agree. That was a quick one. Next. Episode 7 was Beyond the Aquila Drift. I liked that animation style. I liked the whole like.
I feel like this is the star episode of like when there's trailers and stuff. This is what people show. This is what people talk about.
Yeah, I could see that. Did you watch either of the trailers that are on Netflix before we watched it?
I've seen a bunch of trailers like on YouTube.
Okay.
It keeps trying to. I'm like, I already watched it. You don't need to spend your money advertising to me.
I get a lot of Umbrella Academy ones now that you say that. But anyway, no, yeah, I enjoyed this one, but it was definitely like we thought he was dreaming, like in the hyper chamber the whole time, not the whole extra thing, you know, like
it was a djinn, like the dark version of a genie. So like a lot of Supernatural had an episode where they get basically induced into a dream state where you think you're really happy and you had everything you ever wanted, but the djinn or the genie is like sucking your blood dry, you know, until you die. So you die very happily.
Yeah.
You know.
So yeah, it's one of those like, is it the worst thing? You know?
Yeah.
So my only thought on that, it was like, if it's too good, like too good to be true. Like,
I was like, did he have sex with that thing?
Oh yeah. In his mind, at least.
Well, yeah, but like for real?
I don't think for real.
Because like for real, he's, you know, a person and it's a thing. And it supposedly that thing is her.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, because they woke up the co-pilot or whatever.
Yeah.
And she's like, that's not, like, look at her. That's not who it is, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like it was like a parasite in the head kind of thing. I don't think he actually had sex with it. Because
I was like, oh, that would be my first, like, did I just have sex with that thing?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of terrifying, but also like, please keep me in the dream. Thank you.
Yeah, it was very Matrix.
Do you think at the end, did he forget or did he just choose?
I think he chose.
Yeah.
He chose to forget.
I think I would do the same.
Because it was like, you're not ready to know the truth.
And like, even if you were, why would you want to? If there's no getting out of it. And like, he's probably going to die soon anyway. He was very emaciated.
Right.
So like, why not? I don't know.
Yeah.
Die in a happy place.
And the whole thing where it was like, I care about all the lost souls here. Like, that seemed genuine to me.
Yeah, like, but I wonder, because obviously he's not healthy. He's not being cared for.
No.
So in what way
does it care about the lost souls?
Yeah.
Making them emotionally happy
maybe
while it kills them?
Yeah. Or maybe it's like I love my sheep before I slaughter them to eat them. You know, like a farmer would love its animals.
Happy cows, happy beef.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
The happier they are when they die, the better they taste.
The better taste.
It's true.
God. Yeah. Episode 8 was Good Hunting. That was
I think that's my favorite episode.
It was a good episode. I really liked that episode. It was one of my favorite animation styles because it was very anime. I'm going to go through this quickly because this is the part I don't want to screw up.
Okay.
Completely wrong.
Yeah.
It's Kitsune is the spirit that they were showing.
I did not learn their names for it being my favorite episode. Sorry.
No, I don't know their names either.
Yeah.
Kitsune is a Eastern myth, like mythology.
Okay. Great.
It's where Ninetales, the Pokemon, comes from.
I thought it looked familiar.
It's the fox. The fox with multiple tails. It's called a kitsune.
Okay.
This is where I'm like 89% sure.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be offensive, you know, kind of thing. Because I listened to like one episode of a podcast about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like the whole like they lure men and then kill them, but they're actually foxes kind of thing. I really liked the whole the demon quote unquote side. Demon side of like he wants it just as bad. Like she goes to stop his wailing, like she didn't and tricks him or whatever. And that's a post I saw recently on Tumblr where it was like I love the narratives of like demon spirits that entrance men just because they're women. Yeah. Like mermaids and sirens.
Yeah,
and it's like, men are just dumb. Like we're not really that evil. Like women aren't evil.
Yeah.
It's just men are seeking it out kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of funny too.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I really liked that episode. The whole automaton.
Yeah, and I just like, because there's this kind of a theme about, first of all, I really like that this takes place in like an alternate universe world. Yeah. Where it's like the modern and the ancient on top of each other, kind of. Right. Which is kind of true of like a lot of Eastern culture, but like not nearly to that extent. Mm-hmm. But I liked the more like technology kills the magic, but then in the end, technology is the magic. Yep. I really liked that. Yeah. Too. Super interesting. I kind of liked that he came across her and met her, and she was obviously a sex worker, a prostitute, and it didn't faze him whatsoever. He's like, "Yep, we both work for them." Yep. Like no. Yeah,
this show is very sex positive.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I just thought it was really pretty. I really liked that the theme was really not hitting you over the head, but like well constructed and clear. It just felt very cohesive and had something to say.
I would agree. This is the story that gives you start to finish. Mm-hmm. This is the only one that does that. Mm-hmm.
It's not just like the rest are kind of a snapshot.
The rest of them are all the climax of stories. Like Soul Sucker is a good example of that. Like, Dracula. Oh, we're dead. Like climax of the whole. Like if you follow the mercenaries and that scientist the whole way, it's like them getting into the tomb is the climax. You have that conflict. And then there's like all we got was the peak action of that storyline. Yeah. This storyline, you get the whole thing. So that was why it was one of my favorites too. Yeah. And automatons. I like automatons. Yeah.
Yeah. Really quick, I'm gonna read. Someone commented on something I posted on Facebook, and I know it's gonna make me mad. So I'm gonna do it while you're here, so I can forget about it. Okay. Oh, man. Christians commenting about how they've been persecuted. Oh, man. They're talking about how God's Not Dead contributed to the narrative of the evangelical victim. And one of the quotes in the article says that almost 80% of white evangelicals say persecution against Christianity in America is as bad as persecution against blacks or other minority groups.
Are they being killed in the streets?
That's exactly like, when was the last Christian martyr I can think of, like, quote, Christian martyr, like the last person who was killed because they said they were a Christian that I can think of was at Columbine, like the She Said Yes girl. Like, when was the last trans woman of color murdered? Probably this week. Like, when was the last person like beat up because they were gay? Yesterday. Today. So yeah, right. It's complete and utter absurdity, but people just cannot get away from it. It makes me crazy. But it's also one of those arguments I can't back down from. So yeah. Love, Death, and Robots.
Number 9 is my least favorite episode. The dump.
Oh yeah, same. Didn't like it. Pretty much the only part I liked was the dog. Oh, when you look over and you're like, oh, there you are. Yeah. I thought it was cute. That's all I cared about.
Right. I was trying to think about what that one was, and I think it's a commentary about gentrification.
Yeah. And it's just kind of like one of those like man and his dog pet, his pet pile of trash. Kind of like, can't you just leave me alone? Right. That's all I got from it.
That's all I got too. Episode 10, Shapeshifters. That was the 2 werewolves.
Okay, that's what that was. Yeah. I loved that episode.
It's on your board.
Yeah.
It's a solid episode.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I liked it so much. I just really did.
What I got from it was like the solidarity between marginalized communities. You know what I mean? Like the whole, like, they get treated like shit because they're the only 2 werewolves in the unit. But like, it's the whole like, once racism's dead, it's gonna be homophobia. Kind of. I
thought it was about don't ask or not. Or
don't ask, don't tell.
No, what's the trans people in the military?
Oh yeah,
the trans ban. So like how these people are risking their lives for you, and you're just throwing them out with the trash. Yep. Or like and at this point, not even like allowing them to give their lives for this cause. But exactly. Like, that's what I thought. It was probably a fairly direct metaphor.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Especially the line where they get split up and then the one base gets attacked, and he's like, I can get there in minutes. It's going to take you an hour.
Yeah.
And he's like, he's only going there to protect his kind. And it's like, dude, there's soldiers dying. Like, I'm going to save everyone.
Yeah.
Let me go save everyone, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, fuck off. I'm a soldier. I'm not racist like you are. Yeah. Kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Is werewolf a race in this case? I don't know.
I think in this case, it's a metaphor for some sort of,
discrimination. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. That was a really good episode. There was lots of dick in that episode. Yeah. Old man dick.
Yeah. I don't know. I liked it.
It was good. It was good.
I like anything that kind of takes, well, again, it was like an alternate history, like there's, Marvel comics that are like, what if, do you know about these? So they basically just take what if scenarios and they're not canon part of the comics. They just like, are like, what if,
Magneto was a good guy.
Yeah. Or Deadpool and Rocket Raccoon went on a road trip, they're not canon. They're just like, let's pair these two up and see what happens. What if these two got together?
Right.
What would that be like?
Yeah.
So there's comics like that.
Yeah.
It kind of felt like this what if, what if there were werewolves, in the Iraq War? But yeah, and it also does this, like, I like that there were the werewolves on both sides, so it was like, who's the real enemy and like, why are we fighting? And so I don't know. I liked it.
That was interesting. Yeah.
I liked the animation too. I just felt like I connected with the character, the main guy. So
that's fair. Yeah. He's a good character to connect to. That was a good one. I would say that was probably top 5 for me as well. Episode 11 is Helping Hand.
Yeah.
I see you have it on your board.
So this one, I tweeted at Kyle Hill, who does Because Science, because he does a lot of episodes on YouTube about like, what is it really like in space?
Yeah.
So I tweeted at him and I was like, have you seen this episode? Like, I think you would be interested. He didn't see it or like it, but the director of the episode did and retweeted my tweet.
No shit.
Yeah. So
why did you tweet it from our podcast? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no. I think he was just probably retweeting anybody who mentioned it, but I still was like, that's the director of the episode, and he saw my tweet. That's
so cool.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I can explain the science on that one.
Yeah. I did think probably it wouldn't quite exactly go.
Not as fast.
Her arm wouldn't freeze that fast.
Her arm could freeze that fast.
I don't think it would.
Yes, it would.
I don't think
it would. Is that your only contest on this?
I am totally for the throwing of the thing to
in the opposite direction,
propel you,
because that is an actual physics thing. Done in college.
The thing is that there's very little heat transfer in space, even though it's very cold.
So space is a vacuum. And evaporation is a cooling process. So any moisture she had on her arm.
I guess I can go with that. I just know that there's very little heat transfer. And usually I think I don't know how long her arm was exposed to the.
Yeah, that's the other thing I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Because you can
usually last at least a few minutes. You can, in the vacuum of space. Like you would
your body,
pass out. You pass out after 7 seconds.
Right.
But I think it takes a few minutes to, like, you can still be recovered within a couple minutes.
Yes, I'll agree with that.
Which is why the Leia scene works in The Last Jedi. Plus the Force.
Plus the Force. Plus it's fiction. It's the whole Hal open the pod bay doors thing. I do agree the heat transfer is because there's nothing to transfer the heat to. So it just wouldn't happen that fast. I agree. Works. It wouldn't. Yes. Yeah. Physics works. Sure. Time. Again, it's also a fictional story. Yeah. Like I get, but I also get where you're coming from. But with this one, I feel like they're being very intentional about, like, the story is the physics. So anyway, but go on. Sorry. Oh, that's good. The only thought I had on that was Perseverance. I didn't. Yeah. It wasn't my favorite episode. Yeah. It reminded me of Gravity. And I didn't like that movie. I love space. I don't love alone in space things. Yeah, it's just I have a phobia of, like, open water kind of, and it's the same sort of thing. It's also the thing that also drove me nuts about the science of it is you tether in space. You don't free jump from platform to platform and not tether. No, you tether in space. You always are tethered to the thing you're on.
Yeah.
For that reason. Do you think so the tether didn't like break when the thing hit her? No, she never had a tether.
Okay, that's bullshit.
Yeah, that was the other thing is I was out of that episode for facts in the first minute because she jumped from her space station to the satellite.
No. Yeah, that's really bad.
It was so bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You tether.
Because the thing about that's obnoxious is they could have easily had her tether and then just had the space junk break the tether.
Exactly.
So it could have all still worked and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
I did appreciate the accuracy of like a screw fucking something up. Like that could actually happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And just that they went there with like, it's like, oh, okay. So her arm freezes because she had to throw her glove. Oh no, she has to break her arm. Do you think she could have done that?
No, that was my other bigger concern.
Yeah. I get that if it's ice and it's brittle enough, you could maybe break it.
Yeah, because the particles are moving.
You see her like ripping the tendons, and I'm like, no,
I don't think you.
Certainly not within like a minute of your oxygen running out.
Right, and that's also the whole. Isn't there like a theory about like you could bite your finger off, but your brain won't let you do it? Mm-hmm. I don't think your brain would let you rip your arm off.
No, I wonder if you could if you couldn't feel it. People.
I've seen people
have like are diabetic and have their. Start losing feeling and stuff. Kind of do that sort of thing, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I don't have anything else to say about that episode.
No, and that was my biggest thing was just that the director retweeted my tweet.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is really cool, though.
Yeah.
Episode 12 is Fish Night.
Uh-huh.
I didn't necessarily like that one.
Yeah, I didn't really get what it was trying to say, but I hadn't really thought about the ghosts of what came before humans.
Right.
Which I thought was really neat.
I did really appreciate that. But that gives you the whole, do you have to be sentient to be a ghost?
Yeah.
And I would say you do. Mm-hmm. And that's why you don't think about the fish that were in the desert when it wasn't a desert. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate that. The only thing I wrote down was curiosity killed the cat because he was just so quick to like get naked. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I watched a thing that like they had a theory that the younger guy like died overnight. Because he didn't like rest and stay out of the sun when the old man told him to. Oh. And so he actually like died in the car. And that was him going to join death.
Got it.
Yeah.
I like that. That makes it better.
Yeah. Because it makes sense. Because it shows, that's what the short shows you is like, he's like, we gotta just rest, stay out of the sun.
Like we'll figure it out in the morning.
And then the old man sits in the shade the whole afternoon. Yep. And then the guy like runs around and he's kicking stuff and he's trying to fix the car and he's active and he throws his water and whatever, and so it like makes sense with the story.
I'd buy that. Mm-hmm. I like that.
And it was just so pretty. I thought really the fish were really pretty.
Mm-hmm. I liked the mastodons that were.
Mm-hmm. It looked like Archer. I don't know that episode itself was like one of my favorites, but I really liked the look of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is such a weird episode, like of our podcast.
It's really weird.
Episode 13 is Lucky 13. Mm-hmm. That was probably one of my favorite.
Okay.
The biggest thing I had on there was like fuck superstitions. Mm-hmm. Like I really like the number 13. Mm-hmm. I really like that. I enjoyed the fact that it was, I now realize it right now. Like I connected with the character because I treat my things nicely. Whereas like you can tell it's the AI in the ship is what's saving them. And if you treat it nice, it is nice to you kind of thing.
Yeah. Especially because if you're told that it's a piece of junk and it's responsible for deaths.
Right.
Like, and then you're going to be like, oh, this crappy piece of junk.
Right.
And it will treat you back.
Right.
Like that.
So I appreciated that because that's like when my old car wouldn't start in the winter, instead of like hitting the steering wheel or doing stuff like that, I'd like rub it and be like, come on, you got like positive encouragement. And then it seemed to work more kind of thing. Like just random
superstition. If nothing else, your experience of that worked better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think you tend to make more rational decisions and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I really appreciated that. I liked the AI, especially when she set the self-destruct thing and it didn't blow up when it was supposed to. And then she's like, get off my ship.
Yeah.
And then it blows up.
Yeah.
Because it's like that. Everybody's on it. I'm like, the ship is alive.
Uh-huh.
But also it also saw you defend it kind of thing. Like that was really touching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's, I forget her real name. I think it's, but she's Poussey in Orange is the New Black, and she's great.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I knew she was familiar.
Yeah. So, I don't know exactly how the mocap worked or if it was real or I don't know. I couldn't really tell. But, so that was fun. And I did really like I like that most of these kind of take what you expect and just turn it a bit, you know, like, this is a very realistic situation. Like they're in war. This is a warplane. But it's alive and has consciousness. Yeah. Which is neat.
I also really just like the futuristic idea of like her armor, her like flight suit. I really like that kind of stuff. I mean, that's me in general. Like I have like aesthetics of clothing.
For sure.
But anyway.
Yeah. What's next?
Episode 14 is Zima Blue.
Okay.
I really liked Zima Blue.
This is that's almost your favorite color.
It is almost my favorite color. I
thought of you when I was watching it.
I may or may not have Zima Blue and saved it as my background at one point.
That is amazing.
It just doesn't work with the apps on my phone, like the contrast. Like this by itself,
great.
I enjoy. Like if the back of my phone was this color, perfect. But like when it's the background on your phone and you can
do it as just the home screen and then do a different inside.
Oh, that's a good idea. I also just really like my home screen.
Yeah.
Or my lock screen. I should switch them. It's a good idea. I'm going to do that and test it out. Anyways, I really liked that episode. Yeah. It was also very my art style. Like, so started painting like constellations and stuff. And then there's just a blue tile in the middle. And then it got bigger. But it was like in this amazing artwork, there's just a patch of blue. Which I really, really enjoyed. And then it
definitely reminded me of you.
It got
maybe
huge.
You were a pool cleaner in your former life.
Yeah, I'm a pool boy. Dream job.
Pool boy. I
want to be a stay-at-home husband who's just a pool boy.
There's those Tiffany Haddish commercials that are for like Groupon. Pool boy.
Anyways.
I watch a lot of YouTube.
Yeah, I got you. So the note I wrote down was that art can come from anywhere. Like a pool cleaner. Yeah. And I like the evolution of the story of like, he just kept getting add-ons and add-ons and then killed himself at the end, you know, like.
Or just decided he was done.
Yeah. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. I don't think I took that much away from this other than, Drew will like this.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's definitely one of those episodes.
It kind of reminded me, this won't resonate with you at all, but there's a couple animated scenes in Harry Potter that the style kind of reminded me of.
Are you talking about the Deathly Hallows?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
You have seen it?
I've seen that animation, yeah. I haven't seen none Harry Potter. I've seen some Harry Potter.
I haven't seen none.
I know the Deathly Hallows animation. I've seen part 1 of the Deathly Hallows. Okay. And then they killed my favorite character and I didn't want to watch the rest of part 2.
It's actually my favorite Harry Potter movie.
It's fine.
That's fine. Yeah.
Because it starts out with the chase scene, right? With there's a bunch of Harrys.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen it. And then it ends with the death of the best character in the series. Yeah.
Here lies Dobby, a free elf.
Yeah. Okay, we don't need to get into it.
Anyway, but yeah, the Deathly Hallows animation, it reminded me of that for some, I don't know why.
It reminded me, yes, I get that. I also get opening scene from Batman the Animated Series.
Okay, yeah, sure. Yep. Kind of that flowy but angular.
Yeah, angular is a good way to describe it. Yeah.
Interesting. Cool. Yeah, I liked it, but I didn't
take it with a deep meaning.
I just was like, oh, that was nice.
I've been in a weird, a creative slump lately. Isn't not that I paint and draw and stuff like that all the time. I just feel like I've been very process focused lately. So that episode really gave me that freedom of because I was going to see if you wanted to go to MIA today.
Oh, yeah, and do the thing.
Yeah.
We could go sometime.
Yeah. It's on my list.
I don't know when it's open, but I would really like to do that.
Yeah. Thursdays or Fridays. That's also why I texted to see if you were free tomorrow. But anyway.
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're fine. Yeah. Any other thoughts on that one?
Nope. That's it.
That was one of my top 5. 15 is Blindspot. We already talked about that.
We did.
Where you edited in seamlessly. So on to episode 16.
Although, I will say, there's something that feels very us about just doing one random episode at the very beginning.
Leave the part where I say you edit it and then you don't edit it. That's
yes.
Fine. Seamless transition into episode 16, Ice Age. It's the simulation stuff we talked about.
Yeah. I loved how different this one was. I love that randomly it's just like, okay, there's Topher Grace.
Right.
And I know she's famous too, but I don't know her name.
He's the only name I recognized. And he's the top build on the whole series.
I had no idea. I didn't read anything about this.
You just clicked play
I just clicked play. And so I had no idea. And then all of a sudden I was like, and then it took me like I was like, wait, are they animated? Right. Is this mocap?
Yeah.
So that took me a while, but I just thought it was fun. I liked,
it was
fun. And I liked that, like, there were parts of it that were a little bit like dark, maybe like the end of civilization.
Yeah.
But it wasn't dark in the way that the others were. And it just made me feel nice. And I liked the idea of the universe is resetting every day. And I also liked the small details of, and I don't think it was an oversight. I think it was intentional. That, like she was saying, how was it woolly mammoths don't overlap with whatever until the whatever period. I didn't, or things like monkeys and dinosaurs didn't overlap, and so it is like a simulation thing. Like, oh, it'll be a little bit different every day when certain things pop up or don't pop up.
Right. Yeah, because it was like, this is clearly medieval, but this is a woolly mammoth thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like how absurd it was.
Yeah.
How he was like, I wonder if we're their gods. And she's like, no.
And then they cut into it and they're like, who are these fucks staring at us?
They're like totally aware of it.
Yeah. Super aware of it. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, they're moving very slowly. Like it's just their sky.
Yeah.
I did really enjoy that. I also really enjoyed it. It seemed very Blade Runner-esque.
Okay.
Went after the nukes.
Yeah.
Like the giant pyramid in the middle.
Oh, yeah.
Very Blade Runner.
I forgot because they even called out like, oh, they went through a pyramid phase. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I liked that.
That's funny. I didn't even think about that.
And then they go on and explore, but die.
And I like that he's like, oh, are they going to come back? She's like, I don't think so.
I like how it also the nuke blew up in his face.
Yeah, he got sunburned.
Yeah, I liked that. The other thing I really enjoyed was him burying the woolly mammoth. That was cute.
Yeah.
It was a fun episode.
It was just fun. I really liked it a lot. I think that's one, if I were to, of the ones I might rewatch, that's definitely one of them.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts?
Nope.
Episode 17.
17.
Alternate Histories. I really liked that one because it reminded me of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, that animation style.
Okay, sure.
And it was like, you get this free simulation. Here are the 6 possible outcomes. Yeah. And then it was like, it went from like standard, like he dies here. World War II still happens. We still land on the moon. Everything's still fine.
Yeah.
I was like, to the absurdity of like, he gets killed by Jell-O, or like he gets killed by sex robots, kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like I enjoyed that and how the little things changed, like Vladimir Putin's the first man on the moon and like little stuff.
And how each time when you get on the moon is a little bit later in history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a little different. Yeah.
Yeah. I this was maybe my least favorite or near the bottom just because I didn't like.
I thought you would have liked this one.
I do. I think I would have, but I think what I wanted was I legitimately want them to simulate what would have happened if Hitler had died at a different time. And so like I liked the first one and then I want them to show me a different thing that might have actually happened. Or like what if they had murdered him at the beginning of...
Oh, you wanted more realistic stuff?
Kind of, which is funny because I don't usually care about that. But then I think the premise made me legitimately curious.
Yeah.
And so I was like, no, I want the simulation.
Right.
Just tell me like what would have happened if he had decided to go into art school, or you know what I mean? Things like that. Like I legitimately am curious.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I don't care about Jell-O.
Right.
Give
me actual possibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would have not liked that as much.
I don't know that would have made it better. I think that's just like, I was curious and that's what I wanted.
Right. It reminded me of our comment about like why we're so obsessed with time travel is like you can change the past or change the future. And it's like, well, actually, World War II is still going to happen. We're still going to the moon. It just changes who does it.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed.
Yeah. It was funny.
It was funny.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts?
Last one? No, I don't. Nope, I don't. It seemed like a funny thing. I will say, sorry. No, I don't have any more thoughts.
Fine.
A lot of these would be fun as like had to have their own show. I thought it'd be fun to have a cartoon where every episode was a different alternate history thing. Like they teased Lincoln and whatever.
Yeah. I would not watch that show.
I would if it was a YouTube channel.
I would watch it as a YouTube channel if each episode was like 10 minutes. I also, if it was your style of like realistic opportunities, I would not watch it. If it was the same, like Jell-O kills him, I would watch that.
I feel like that's more of I think I would like it better, that style, your style on YouTube. Because that's more like YouTube
quick. Yeah.
It's like what you do there.
Got you.
Yeah.
Cool.
Anyway.
Now any other thoughts?
Nope.
Cool. Now that we went back in history and you told me your thoughts. Last episode was Secret War.
Yeah.
Episode 18.
Oh, I think this maybe is it's bottom 3.
Interesting. It was top 3rd.
Okay.
Well, not top 5, but like
sure.
Upper. So 6th. Because math. It reminded me of Hellboy.
Okay, sure.
Because it was literally just like, I hate, but I love those God, I sound so straight white male. World War II history.
It's okay. You actually are a straight white male.
I know.
So.
But like when guys say they're interested in history, all they care about is World War II. I like the ones that it really shows the like, Hellboy is an example of it. Like the fact that World War II was really just a cover up of us finding the devil kind of stuff, or mythical creatures. So Hellboy, Red Skull.
Yeah, I was going to say it was kind of Red Skull.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. I hate that I enjoy that trope.
It's fine, whatever. It's kind of, Slaughterhouse-Five wasn't really mystical, but I like that going back and like what was really going on here sort of thing. I find that interesting. I'm not straight or male.
Right. No, yeah. I enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the like pick your battles kind of aspect, or like don't fuck with the devil. Like the one where they're standing on the ridge and looking at all those people die and they're like, well, it's a losing battle. Like we're not going to go save them. Like we would all die.
Yeah. I will also say, I think by the time this one happened, I was like tired. And, and I was like, okay, when are we going to be through all of these?
Yeah.
So
it's definitely it's a show that the series is like you can binge it, but also like binge at your own risk because they are so different. It's like Portlandia.
Yeah. I think I would like to go back through and watch like one a day.
I think 3 a day would be a good pace. Any other thoughts on that one?
No.
Cool. Do you have any thoughts on the series?
So my only thing, because I was trying to put together like a theme, like what makes these all cohere together, and like if as a series, what's it trying to say? Like what?
That's the part I don't know.
Yeah, and the only thing I could really, I wrote millennials, and like I think that there's just something weird about. I've thought a lot about. Like pre 9/11, post 9/11 world. And the weird, like how suddenly we just started sharing everything, and it's like we want this connectedness and independence at the same time. And we're kind of over pretense because it's like, well, I guess if like buildings are falling down, let's just be real.
Right.
And we kind of stopped caring about all the bullshit. not that everyone did and not in every area, but as a whole, as a generation, I think we're all just like, come on, what's it really about? And so, I think that I was kind of thinking about that and like how that brought technology, just how that event almost feels like the catalyst, like 9/11 feels like the catalyst for every event in this whole thing. Like, not necessarily the ones in the past,
right.
But like, oh, that spurred us toward like kind of a nihilism, or it spurred us toward space travel, or like technology, or just not, over sexualization, or, and there's like a good way that can go, and there's a bad way that can go. And like, so we're like looking for love, but like love is also kills us. And it's interesting how it kind of intermixed this. It felt like technology and magic and monsters were all the same thing. Like they kind of are represented in each one.
Yeah.
And it's like they manifest as one or the other in each thing. And then there's humans, or the conscious being that is like interacting with it for better or worse.
Mm-hmm.
And that feels like us. It feels like we're trying to express ourselves, and we're trying to kind of extend the possibility of what we are through whatever means possible, which for us is the computer in our pocket. And it just seems like all of these were like sort of the evolution of that idea.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I just said. There is probably the most I actually thought through it. So
it's more than I did.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have anything to add.
No. So we did love deaf.
We do love deaf robots.
Deaf robots. Yeah.
Love
sure.
deaf and robots. Yeah, we just did that one. No. So yeah, I only have two things to talk about for goodish, mediocre-ish, baddish.
Okay, because we're going to touch on Umbrella Academy
later.
Can you just tell me yay or nay?
I liked it.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Goodish, mediocre-ish, baddish.
So I've been on a Netflix binge.
Okay.
All 4 of my goodish, mediocre-ish, baddish have been on Netflix.
Nice.
We're only going to talk about 2 right now, though.
Yeah.
Because one of them we just spent a whole episode talking about.
A whole episode, yep.
I'm going to start with the mediocre one.
Okay.
Triple Frontier.
Sure.
Which was the movie, like big Netflix blockbuster spend where they released in theaters to get awards.
Yeah.
And that was with Ben Affleck, Oscar Isaac, Charlie Hunnam, 2 other guys that are both famous.
Yeah, I'm blanking too. I didn't see it, but I watched reviews. Of it. Yeah, I watched some interviews.
Okay, it was mediocre. I didn't know what it was trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was a decent, like, behind enemy lines,
kind of like one of those One Last Job.
Yeah,
sort of.
Exactly. It was just like, they're all retired. They all have PTSD, but they all still need the money because the government. Like, it was like, I don't know if they're trying to say the government.
Did it have Pedro Pascal?
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was going for like trying to heavily lean into like America doesn't care for their vets, or a commentary about greed, or a commentary about justice, or love, or brotherhood. Like, it was just like, it was the Ron Burgundy quote, not Ron Burgundy, Ron Swanson quote of like, never half-assed 2 things, whole ass one thing. They half-assed 5 things.
Oh no.
So they 1/5-assed 5 things.
Yeah.
So it was like that.
Yeah, I've heard mediocre things about it.
I loved the cast. I love Oscar Isaac. I love Charlie Hunnam. Those are 2 of my top 5 favorite actors right now.
Because you're a Sons of Anarchy guy.
And Star Wars, like, and Ex Machina, and Annihilation. Like, I love Oscar Isaac. I love Charlie Hunnam. I mean, Ben Affleck is hit or miss, but like, it 1/5-assed. A thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was, yeah.
Yeah,
so
apparently it's named after like some place where 3 places come together. And the review I was like watching, they were like, how would I have ever known that?
I was literally just about to say, I was like, I don't know what the frontiers were.
Yeah.
Like, the home frontier of got to provide for the kids, the wild frontier of being in the army, and shit?
Yeah.
Is that I don't know. Yeah. I have no fucking, the title made no sense.
Apparently there's some place where it's literally called like Los Tres Frontieras or something.
In Brazil and Peru. Yeah. Okay. Because that happened in South America. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Because I literally spent a good chunk of the movie trying to figure that out.
Right. Yep.
I was like, there's 5 main characters.
Right. It would work if it was a double meaning, right? If there could be like, there's 3 guys or like, some sort of 3 villains or the villains are friends, money, and the bad guy,
Right. Right. Anyway. Thank you for clarifying that for me. I'm going to tell my roommate that and he's going to appreciate that. Mm-hmm. It's so disappointing. That's how I would describe this movie, as disappointing. Yeah. It wasn't bad.
Mm-hmm. It's almost worse that the cast is great.
That's why it's disappointing.
Yeah.
My expectations were so high. Mm-hmm. Netflix has been putting out good stuff. You've got great actors and you put out mediocre.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know the director, but apparently the last thing he made was great. So it's disappointing on all fronts. You might say on 3 fronts. Oh, you were going to make that joke.
Nice.
I saw it coming.
I know you did. Cool. That's all I have to say about that. Mm-hmm. The other one is Queer Eye.
Queer Eye!
Yeah, I assumed it was on your list too.
I'm so excited.
I loved it.
It's so good.
Obviously.
Yeah.
I'm so mad that they only put out 10 episodes at a time. And
I hope they do what they did last year, though, where
they film 20 and do half and then wait a month and then do another half.
Yeah, it was a weird.
It was.
I almost wish it was like every 6 months or something.
They were testing the waters.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would appreciate an every 6 months release.
10 episodes every 6 months would be fantastic.
Right?
Yeah.
I would die for Tan's off-white belt. The yellow belt that he has, I want it so bad.
There are probably ways that can happen.
I also really appreciate, do you know how expensive that fucking thing is?
I know.
I also really appreciate the random strap he wore in the last episode. Mm-hmm. It's very tech wear and it's very my goal aesthetic right now. And I very much appreciated it.
They would love you.
I would love them to come and help my roommate.
You could nominate him.
No, he's not bad enough.
Okay.
But it's honestly, it would be it's more selfish of Jonathan, tell me how cute I am.
I know. Apparently he learned a lot of his, do you know about this? That he learned a lot of his hair doing from the Somalian people up here?
Yeah, he went to
I had no idea.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
He lived in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
I did know that because he I listened to his podcast and he had Lizzo on there and they both lived in the same neighborhood. That's
amazing. Yeah. I think I just always get really excited when people have any idea about where I am.
Same. Yeah. And I'm a little upset. Tan had a speech at the U and it was before I could have got my employee discount. It was sold out anyway. But I would have gone.
So good. Yeah. Did you watch the trailer before it came out?
No, I don't watch trailers.
Okay. So I did. And
I did. Yes, I did. Now
sometimes I can't help it because YouTube and sometimes Netflix just shows them. But so it kind of gave the impression that almost the whole season was going to be about females, which was kind of weird. And I had talked to some coworkers who also were like, I don't know about this. But the trailer did not do the season justice whatsoever. I was like, I don't know how I feel about half the people being women. We'll see. And then it ended up being what does that mean? And what is your identity? And redefining, what does it mean to be feminine? What does it mean to be, there's the strong Black lesbian woman, and that was great. So
the trailer did misdirect a little bit. But I also don't look into trailers that much anymore because I don't put a lot of weight in trailers anymore. So, and it was also, I watched the trailer literally the day before I watched it.
Yeah.
So, I binged it in 3 days. So,
Yeah, I tried to save it and I was just it's like having a piece of cake in front of you that you're trying to save and then you look down and it's gone.
I think I watched 5 episodes with my friend that Friday and then 2 on Saturday, 3 on Sunday, finished it on Monday, kind of thing. I did space it out enough where I was getting the thing, but I just love them.
Yeah, I know.
I love them so much.
And I thought that they gave Bobby and Anthony a little bit more time.
They 100%
shine,
did.
Which I really appreciate.
There were definitely episodes where they did get the shaft.
Mm-hmm.
Like the barbecue sisters.
Yeah.
Clearly, Anthony doesn't need to do anything. No. Like it was all about him wanting to get their secret recipe.
Yeah, yeah.
I appreciated that, but they definitely did show a lot more with like Bobby tagging along to do other things because he didn't get a lot of screen time. Mm-hmm. And Anthony, not getting, like, people made fun of Anthony all the first 2 seasons. Like, all he does is teach them a salad.
Yeah.
Like, you cut fresh fruit. That's not a salad, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So they did give them a lot more. And I appreciated that.
Yeah.
But it's like, what you're really here for is the Jonathan and Tan makeover change. You want to see how drastic the change is. And
you want to walk into the house. You want the extreme home makeover moment. Mm-hmm. But yeah. And
then you got Karamo, straight serving emotions.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know he's like an actual therapist.
Yeah, he's a social worker.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Which makes his role make a lot more sense.
Yeah. I was watching it with my friend Bree, and she was like, he talks like and I'm like, a social worker? Mm-hmm. And I said that very condescending, and I feel bad about that. But I was like, yeah, no, I'm really excited. He's an actual social worker.
It's cool that they kind of, because like, quote, the culture guy.
Yeah.
At first I was like, okay, so you pick the one black guy and make him the culture guy. Sure. Yeah. But the role is so undefined that it just becomes whoever the person is, which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure if I watched it again, I would have a lot more to pull out. But I think I cried in every episode.
I cried in most.
Yeah. And it just makes you feel better about the world. Especially, I liked, how'd you feel about the location change, Kansas City?
I liked it a lot because it was the Midwestern thing. I
thought it represented pretty well.
It did. It really did.
Yeah.
I don't like Season 1 and 2 were very like super stereotypical South, and they focused a lot on that, and that was kind of frustrating. Not frustrating, but like Kansas City is close enough to Minnesota where I felt like they get it. Not everybody is the Deep South. Like that was the thing with the other Queer Eye. It was like it felt like it grabbed a lot more people, whereas in these they're shooting all 10 in one spot kind of thing, and it's like. Okay.
Yeah. Kansas City is very generic Midwest. No offense to Kansas City, but like
full offense to Kansas City. Fuck off Sporting.
But I know people, like I've been there many times. I know people who live there. It's within a reasonable driving distance to like 5 other major American cities, like within a few hours. And so it's like it could be any one of us.
Yeah.
Where I feel like probably Atlanta, that's true of that general area as well,
Yeah.
But they got tax breaks for filming there. So,
It's one of, Kansas City has a soccer team. Atlanta has a soccer team, and I hate both of them. But yeah.
I did think it was funny that I think everywhere they went was in Missouri.
It was.
Which is there was no mention of the fact that like Kansas City is in 2 states.
Yeah. They did not mention that. No, they focused on Missouri.
I feel like they must have had like an arrangement with. Yeah, I feel like it would be complicated to film on the border of 2 different states. They would almost have to choose one.
You have to.
Yeah.
For tax reasons.
Yeah. Which is just funny to choose a city that's literally in 2 states.
Can you name another Missouri city?
No, but like as opposed to any other Midwestern-ish city. Know.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's all. I just thought it was interesting. Okay, so any more Queer Eye? Any thoughts? No?
No.
He just dabbed at me.
I didn't dab at you.
Well, you dabbed.
I did dab.
In general. So I'm Queer Eye was one of mine. My only other thing is that I got Pokemon Let's Go.
Yeah.
So it's funny. It's exactly what I thought it was going to be, which is not all that exciting.
Yep.
But still like fun to play. But the reason I got it, because I was putting it off, I was like, I don't have the money for it. I don't think it's going to be that fun. So it's not a priority, but I still like haven't stopped wanting it for months. But then I found out that it integrates with Pokemon Go on your phone. And I was like, I literally, the moment I saw it on like a YouTube video or something, like put down my phone, put on my jacket, went to my car and went to the store. So I was like, yes, I'm getting this right now. I'm not even to the place in the game where you can incorporate it with your phone. Because you have to get to like Fuchsia City to do it. And that's like halfway through the game, apparently. But so that part is fun. I mean, I've never been super into like turn-based games. But and I've said this before, but part of the reason I want to do it is because like I have so much nostalgia about Pokemon, but I never really watched the shows or played the games. Like it was always peripheral. Like it was my brothers watching the show and playing the games and collecting the cards and me doing it with them sometimes, you know? So I've always felt like kind of like a noob at Pokemon, even though it's like quite...
Yeah, you're like an older sister.
Yeah, but it still feels like mine, but I feel like kind of an imposter.
So I have the reverse feelings on that for a lot of older things, I guess, like 80s things, like because I have an older sister. So I was always on the outside of her enjoying those things.
Yeah.
Whereas you're on the outside of your younger siblings enjoying Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also I texted you the other night that I was like in my bedroom in my underwear dancing to the Pokemon theme song for like 20 minutes. And I just like, it's so good. And I just downloaded the song because I felt like it one day. And I was like, this is amazing. And I didn't even notice. And then like 20 minutes later, I was like, I've been dancing to this song for 20 minutes in my underwear. It's so good.
Yeah. I think I was in the middle of watching Love, Death, and Robots when you sent that text. So I didn't really respond appropriately.
Oh, like, I didn't notice. I don't know.
Like...
Oh, because you said you had been talking about the song with someone.
Yeah. I just kind of glanced over the fact that you did that for 20 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, it was so good. But I think it's funny, particularly like show theme songs, like the joy that they can like evoke in you. There's just something crazy about it. Like we'll just break out into singing like the Friends theme song or the One Tree Hill theme song or, you know, the OC, all those. There's so much nostalgia because you've heard it literally like hundreds and hundreds of times and it's associated with something specific. So, but that one in particular is really good. Anyway, so Pokemon is fun. It's not, if you don't know what you're getting into, going from Breath of the Wild to Pokemon Let's Go is like...
Did you get Eevee or Pikachu?
I got Pikachu. Just because, again, like...
That's why it's lame.
I have more... nostalgia about Pikachu.
So I have the nostalgia of playing like Gold was my first one. So it's like that's Pikachu, but I don't like Pikachu. Whereas Eevee, like Vaporeon, was one of my favorite Pokemon.
Okay.
So
yeah. See, and I just don't have any of that. Yeah. Like, so I figured I might as well go with what I know.
I got you.
Yeah, and it's just super repetitive. You know, because like you have to battle the trainers that you come across, and then there'll be like to get from one city to the other, you have to go on a road that has 10 trainers that you have to just beat all in a row and do the exact same thing 10 times in a row. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
that's why, sorry.
No, that's all. I mean, it's just not, it's like, I like it, but that's what it is. So
I agree. And that's why I don't think I would like that game, is because the fun part about Pokemon is finding the new Pokemon. Whereas I know all original 150.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm not that interested.
Yeah. I think the reason I think once I get further in the game, I'll like it more, is that like I know all the 150, or I at least recognize them, and I want to see them again. Like I want to catch the ones that I recognize.
And that's what Pokemon Go, the app, was for.
Yeah. Well, on Pokemon Go now, there's so many. And when I get ones that I don't recognize, I'm like, oh, okay. I just want to keep catching Bulbasaurs.
Gotcha.
So.
Yeah. And that's the thing is I've been playing Pokemon Go since the beginning. So.
Yeah. Now we're friends. Yeah. We can send each other gifts.
There's a gym. Like I pull it up at my desk. I work at the campus. So like there's Pokemon stops everywhere. So yeah, there's a gym right technically like on the corner of my office. So just like open it up, spin it. It's usually blue.
Yeah, I'm blue too.
I'm team blue. The gym's usually blue. And when it's not, I kick the person out because I can do it at my desk at work. And I've been training all the last 3 weeks. So it's like a break from staring at my computer screen. So I stare at my phone screen.
Yeah. When I get low on Pokeballs, I drive around the cemetery Because you can drive slow.
Yep.
And because it's all statues and monuments, they're everywhere.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
No, I think that's, I
don't have anything else.
You know, I think that, so I was in kind of a hibernation. So I think I was a little bit inconsistent with the posting and with the editing. But I think I'm back on track now because I'm a healthy person who's got my brain back together.
Hashtag shouts keto.
Yeah. So if you could, I don't know, give us some feedback, talk to us on the things, subscribe to us on the things, give us some high fives, give us some 5 stars, give us a review, and be our friends.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Goodbye.
Thanks for listening to the Long Shot Parking Lot. You can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts, including iTunes, Podbean, and now Spotify. You can also follow us on Instagram and Twitter. If there are any topics you'd like to discuss, please email us at longshotparkinglot@gmail.com.